I did. There are questions on the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. A question from Maria Agasa. What are the components of the nutrient you use? What chemicals are they made of? How safe are they short and long term? I think this question for Dr. Tawfiq.
Yeah. I mean, is the question
The question is, what are the components of the nutrient you use? What chemicals are they made of? How safe are they, short and long term?
okay? Okay, thank you very much. Just like it has been mentioned, the environment to have the system set up must be sterile. You are contaminated. And secondly, is that there are specific growth nutrients for specific crops, but largely depending on the substrate you are using. Like in the diagram I showed, where we have the strawberry and the lettuce cultivated, the substrate was volcano eruption, like the leftover from the volcanoes in East Africa. So, and then once you have that eruption, the leftover from the eruption placed on the bucket or the pot that you want to use for the cultivation, you apply your NPK fertilizer. So if you apply the NPK as a base, that is just at the first instance. Subsequently, it's for you to time your water supply 2 hours by day, or depending on the nature of the crop and what you intend to have as the volume of water that will supply. It's because of time that I was not able to specify that the system has a drip irrigation system. Like you have the drip, the cable on the plant, and then water is supplied intermittently. It's already a setup. Is the setup that automatically supplies water 24/7 onto the system. So so far, we've not recorded any known side effect of those chemicals, of those fertilizers that are applied. But it's going to be specific to what we intend to cultivate.
Hello, sir. I don't answer any questions, sir.
Okay, you can also grow tuber crops. Yes, you can grow tuber crops. That has been implemented very well, and those ones are referred to as aeroponics. Like you grow your yam in the air, you have a nutrient solution. The concern here is just like I mentioned, the nature of the crop will determine the nature of the nutrients to be supplied. And we have very limited time. 10 minutes to talk about this thing is not, it's so, you can't, so you ought to be very something, it ought to be an elaborate discussion on specific activity, the set, but as it is now, there is hardly any crop that you cannot cultivate. It only depends on the availability of the interest. What is your interest? What are you targeting? Just like Dr. Mariam said, what is the need of your environment? Is it into vegetables or horticultural materials and things like that? Or it is animal husbandry, as the case is that you want to provide food for animals. And like I mentioned the other time, if I have a friend who resigned from the Food and Drug Authority, he's a pharmacist. He resigned to take up the job of producing this animal fodder. And in a month, he make well over ₦1 million in sales. So, and that's that's a lot of money. And how does the system work? He already has the greenhouse established, and then he has this silver line, like the panel to grow the maize, either sorghum or barley, or rice, as the case is. Once it is grown, in 5 or 7 days, you will harvest, and you have people that will come and buy. People involved in animal rearing, and then he makes about ₦1 million in a month just for producing food for animals. This animal fodder, as is the case. So we only need to do an environmental assessment to know, in my environment, what is the need? Is the need for food, or is the need for human food or for animal food? And then you now design the structure of how the procedure is going to be carried out, and that's fine. And then once you have your system established, and then you just continue to harvest. Like the strawberry is harvested every it takes about 12 weeks to establish the plot, and then you harvest. Like if you have about 4 pockets, you can harvest close to about, depending on the variety of strawberry, you can harvest close to about 20 kg, and then multiply by the number of pots you have in the screen now. So it's really a lot, but we have very limited time to have the discussion as it was presented when we were requested to have this chat. But in all, the opportunities are there. Let us take advantage in our own little way. We live in our various homes. Let us utilize the space in our homes, and then we get the setup established. Thank you.
Please, I have a question in the chat box. Can you box? Could you kindly check it? I have a question there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. The question says, we have another question here that says, can we grow tuber crops with hydroponics? That's from
Yes,
Mr. Godwin. Can we grow tuber crops with hydroponics?
Yes, the answer is yes. Yes, how much do you need to set up? The cost of setting up will be relative to what you intend to cultivate. Are you interested in tomato, onion, broccoli, peas, or animal fodder? So what you have as interest will determine the setup to be made and how the construction is going to be made. What's the size of your space? Is it a 50 by 100 or a 20 by 10 or 30 by 50, as the case is? So we can discuss further with the organizers of this meeting to see anyone that may be interested. We can have a session to discuss setting up as the case is. Just like I showed you during my recent visit to the Food and Agriculture Organization, they have the setup in their office. Just by the side of the office, the whole building was for strawberry and lettuce, and they harvest regularly. So we need to look at what is the space available, what type of a crop are we interested in cultivating, and what's the assessment you have done. You can't just go into production without doing your feasibility study to know the importance and the volume, the economic importance of what is to be done. So we can have, if it's possible, the organizer can have another session specific to how the system could be set up. Thank you. It's quite very cost effective. Yes, tomato you can do 30 by 50 depending on what you have as available space. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Then another question, I think, is for both Dr. Epoma and Dr. Adegbenga. How do we learn more about aquaponics? That's the question here on the chat box, chat room. How do we learn more about aquaponics?
Okay,
Dr.
thank you very
Epoma,
much.
can you? Oh, yeah. Okay, sir. Okay, sir, you have
Yes.
the floor, sir.
Just like we have mentioned, Dr. Epoma could give further discussion. We need to have the system established first to know, okay, what type of aquaculture do we want to employ? Then what type of crop do we want to cultivate? Let's remember that the goal of this system is about conservation. It's about sustainability. Like, you have nothing to waste. Everything that you are using is being recycled to give you the maximum benefit of investment, as the case is, to give you the maximum benefit of investment. And we know we can only grow the fishes in very suitable water that is good for their growth. So we can agree maybe subsequently to have a session specific for that. And then we'll be able to look at the size of the pond, the size of the construction of the hydroponic system itself, and how we could be able to merge the two together. Thank you. Dr. Epoma could give further description. I have not personally
respond to that. That is the reason why one of the reasons why we are doing this this workshop, because we are having a detailed seminar on hydroponics, where we have an expert that will come around to give us details, including developing and creating nutrient and other things. So, Dr. Rukayat, I think Dr. Rukayat.
The question, but before we go to the question in the chat, we have two people raise their hand. Mr. Paula, you can speak. You can open the mic and you can ask your question.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. My question is on our aquaponics. Listening to what you've said, these are more like for urban farming where you have limited space. Now, if you have somebody that has a fish farm, for instance, so that's not a matter of space now, and is also conscious about conserving water and having nothing to go to waste. And the person intends to now use the water from that farm as a form of hydroponics or aquaponics, if you may. And then I hear a lot of the substrate has to be sterile, there has to be sterility. How do you ensure sterility of the wastewater from the pond to enable you use it for crop cultivation? That's my question. Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. For someone who uses the waste from a fish farm as the source of nutrients for a hydroponic system, what will be required is a situation where I would advise that there should be a thorough system of aeration of the aquaponics, of the fish farm. Why that? You know, the fish produce their waste, which is in the water. And their waste involves urea, ammonia, and other waste from their excreta. So what basically happens is the conversion of these waste products from the fish into forms that is easily used or that is healthy for the growth of plants. So with a good aeration system, there will be the conversion of this ammonia waste by microorganisms, which will be present in the pond, the fish pond. So there will be conversion of ammonia by certain bacteria, what we know as the nitrosomonas, into nitrites. Of course, you know, ammonia and nitrites are not healthy, or they are toxic to plants. So with the conversion of ammonia to nitrates by nitrosomonas, and also the further conversion of nitrites to nitrates by Nitrobacter bacteria inside the fish pond to nitrates, which is usable by the plants, there will be that reduction of contamination or toxicity to the plants. So we know that the aquaponics system is a complete ecosystem. It's a complete system that recycles itself because of the presence of the microorganisms that converts what can pose harm to the health of your plants or to your plants generally. Because the microsystems are there, the microorganisms rather, are there to convert this waste, you are sure that your farm will not be running into any kind of harm or microorganisms infestation or loss. So by nature, because of the ecosystem that exists in the aquaponics system, there is a conversion, an entire conversion of the waste from the fish, such that before it gets into the hydroponics system where you have your plants, there is a conversion to forms that the plants can use. So what you should be wary of is the size of your farm, your fish pond, compared to the size of your hydroponics farm. That is the area where you have the plants. So if you have your fish pond in a particular place, what amount of waste are you supplying to the hydroponics system? Or how large is the hydroponics system, such that whatever waste is produced in form of fertilizer, organic fertilizer from your fish pond into the hydroponics system, it is such that the hydroponics system is not overwhelmed. What I'm trying to say is, whatever waste is coming out from the aquaponics system, your fish pond, when it gets into the parts where you have the plants, your hydroponics stand, let it be such that it is commensurate with what the plant needs. And then the microorganisms in the aquaponics, they are supplied enough oxygen to degrade, to convert ammonia to nitrites and nitrites to nitrates, which is useful to the plant. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now we have another hand. Godwin Ufomo, you can speak now.
Thank you for this Ovioma Godwin. Thank you for the presentation. Though I could not get so many of the network was really bad. So my first reason for raising my hand is to request that we get the slides or the recorded version of the presentation so that we can go through again. That's by the way. Then I wanted to find out, part of my question has been partially answered. I wanted to find out if there's a way we can supplement the nutrients from the aquaponics in case the plants cultivated, they're not having enough nutrients from the pond. But she has said that we have to size the farm and the fish pond. That was actually one of my questions. Then in the case of the hydroponics, I also want to find out if it's compulsory for us to always have it in an enclosure, like a building or a roof. Can it be done in the open system also, where we can grow other form of plants? Then my last question is to the first presenter that said is from Lagos State. Not really a question per se, but a request, whether they have any physical farm that I would like to come to see physically and perhaps register for a training and see how I can start a small farm from there. Thank you.
Sorry, can I come in?
Yes, sir, you can, sir. You can.
Hello, can you?
Yes, I can.
Yes, thank you so much for that input. Yes, thanks so much for that input and insight. So I want to wonderfully discuss. Yes, that was why we have been able to organize this session, because hydroponics is an in-depth activity. It's an art, and as well it's also a science. And it's not something you can easily learn just from this 1 hour, 3 hour session. That is why the organizers have been able to design a detailed program that will allow people, which involves designing.
So I guess what is to say is to talk about the program that is being organized, organized by this
body.
I guess what he's trying to talk about is based on the training that is being organized by this the organizers of this program. Okay. So he's trying to pass information on it, and the flyer had already been shared on the screen. So the organizers of this workshop, they are also working hard to make sure that people have the information at hand on hydroponics and commercialization, and how to solve the problem of food shortage. So their intention is to organize the training, which is coming at the end of this month, and there is a paid training whereby people will get to learn and know more about hydroponics and how to be a self farmer themselves, how to plant themselves in their homes, their offices, in their balcony, rooftop, and all. So I think that's what the program is all about. So the program is coming at the end of this month and is a paid one. So I think it's
all right.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you. I also
okay,
wanted to find out if it's possible for us to bring the training closer to the people. For example, I work in an institution. I can stimulate that we bring the trainers to our institution, although with a subsidized rate, so that you can have a large number of the community people getting trained. And we have to reduce this hunger pang, because the hunger is really biting very hard in our society. It's no longer a news. So that is my question. The training is fine, it's quite fine, but I will also suggest that we begin to look at institutions where we can meet a larger group, like tertiary institutions, and talk to a group of people that may be interested. I would like to facilitate something like that, and possibly bring them to my own institution so that they can train a number of persons on hydroponics and aquaponics. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. That's a very good idea, sir. So we are going to pass the message across to the organizers, and we would love you to probably send a note down to the group chats whereby they can communicate and communicate with other experts in the house. They will communicate with other experts in the house and how to progress about the training. So I can still see. So thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir.
So we can proceed with Mr. Abdulaziz Bashir. You can ask your question.
All right. Good afternoon, all, and thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I have 3 questions from my own side. The first one is about for this system of hydroponics. Is it possible to use organic fertilizer, or we can only use inorganic fertilizer? Organic fertilizer, like for example, cow dung. Then the second question is that some plants, we can grow them from the seed. For example, rice plant. So rice plant, if we want to grow it using this hydroponic system, can we just transfer the seed direct to the system crops that usually they are being propagated using seed? So it is possible, for example, you want to grow a rice, you just dip it inside the system and it can grow from the seed to become seedling without any challenge, or we have to grow it somewhere on the soil. Then when it reach to the transplanting stage, then we can transfer it to the hydroponic system. Then the third question is about the substrate that can be used. So is it the substrate, is it just water and fertilizer, or apart from water and fertilizer, we need another substance that we can add to the substrate? Thank you. Those are my three questions.
Can I respond to parts of his question?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. On the question of whether to raise your seedlings, get a nursery, raise your seedlings before transplanting into the hydroponics setup, I think if you don't have the experience, you can go ahead and do that. For somebody like me, I can choose to sow the seeds directly in my hydroponics stand because of my experience. So either ways can work for me. But based on your experience, if you are a starter, I would advise you use a nursery, raise your seedlings, then transplant into your hydroponics stand. Otherwise, if you are not experienced, you might end up not getting the best of your seedlings if you sow directly, because it requires certain level of technical know-how or experience. Also for cow dung, I don't have any experience on that. It is fish waste. Aquaponics using fish waste is what I have experience on. So I know that the microorganisms in the fish pond convert the ammonia waste such that it is used by the plants in the hydroponics bed. So for cow dung, I don't know how we want to apply that, considering that your cow dung is not produced in an enclosed system like you have in the fish. Your cow dung would have been produced, certain fungi spores would have landed on it. By the time you now introduce it into your hydroponics farm, there can be certain contamination, or it can cause certain problem of fungal infestation. So I don't know. That's just my take on it. Maybe somebody with an experience on that, or better experience on that, can throw in their weight. Thank you.
Let me add something to that. Thank you very much. In that, it's better you actually even use cured manure, if at all you don't use manure, because like you rightly said, it's going to bring a lot of contamination to the soil, to the water system. Being that it's not yet fully cured, if you're using cow dung, but it's safer when you have actually even when it has been cured, that is the manure itself. But it's not to even use the manure directly, it's to use the the solution from the manure. And if you're using the solution from the manure, you also have to be sure that the nutrient content is in conformity, with the plants that you are growing. So everything is a bit of understanding of what exactly it is that you're growing, and then what forms the manure that you're using before you can actually balance it up. Because the thing is this, like, you also don't want to have nutrient pollution, in as much as you don't have a shortage of nutrients. So you want to keep that balance. So knowing how to actually your fertilizer, whether it's organic or inorganic. Thank you.
Any question anyone want to ask? Okay, this means no question, no more question. Okay, thanks all for attending this session, and we have another session about hydroponic and how we can make it like commercial. It will be in August, and we will share more details in the WhatsApp group if anyone want to join us. And again, thanks all for attendance. Thanks for speakers for giving us from their experience, and we look forward to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome.
Okay, thank you and bye-bye.
Have a good
thank
day.
you very much, everybody. Yeah. Miss Adil, thank you very much for that wonderful job. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you very
lot.
much.
Have a good day.
And you too. So we appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming. We'd love to appreciate all our speakers too for creating time out for us and giving us such a wonderful presentation. We appreciate you all. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. So we'd love to send across their certificate of appreciation. SARS and Mars, we are going to send your certificate of appreciation for gracing today's event. You can see on the screen that we have the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Abdurrahman Lawal, and same goes to Mr. Lamina and Dr. Marianne and Dr. Adegboyega. So we are going to send. So now the next thing now is for us to take a group picture. So probably everybody, we should all put on our camera. So the pictures have been taken. Thank you very much. So now we'd love to have our national anthem.